Hey, it's Anthony and Tucker with Land Title, and we are going to bring you the Boulder County market update for the end of 2021. And boy, is this one a doozy.
As we all know, inventory is going to be the topic from now through the end of the year. While rates may be rising as well, inventory will be our number one concern both for buyers and for sellers going into 2022.
What this really means with inventory as low as it is. I mean, we are scraping the bottom of the barrel here, right? We're going to show you here in a minute. But what that means is that price appreciation is going to be going through the roof, and all of these poor buyers are going to be competing with way more people than they should ever have to. But if you're a seller, you definitely are reaping the benefits of this entire situation, and your home equities are going through the roof. So that being said, there's two things here that are worth pointing out. Detached homes, your single family homes, are a little more extreme than the attached units, right? And a lot of that is due to price point, it's due to availability, it's due to that attached is generally a little bit more of an entry level product, except in places like Superior, maybe, places where they build a little bit more expensive attached product, but it's a little less desirable. 2021 really took that from its own market kind of doing its own thing, dependent on that buyer pool, to directly competing with the detached market, right? So, Tucker, what is going on with the supply?
So as we know with the supply, it's extremely low. But with that supply, we're really kind of seeing it now where a property's going onto the market on a Tuesday, not a Tuesday, but let's say a Wednesday or Thursday. It's under contract by Sunday, if not sooner. And what we're hearing already in the contracts we're seeing come in, and we're only 13 days into January, there's bidding wars. It's over asking. And this is something that we normally don't see until obviously later in the spring, early summer, and that kind of projection. So the fact we're seeing this already 13 days into the new year is just a sign for the year. It's going to be competitive, and the inventory is getting eaten up the same week that it comes on the market. Nothing is lasting. There's some in the luxury market, of course, that will last a little bit longer, just because you have a little bit more of a select buyer pool. But for the majority of the market, we're talking 1.5 million and under. It's going under contract in 1 to 2 weeks, as long as it's turnkey, ready, and it looks pretty. So for you agents out there that are going, agents and lenders out there, those turnkey properties, having those really nice listings are really setting the premium right now. So, putting in that little extra money, little extra work on marketing, little extra work around the home, a punch list, getting a contractor to come through is going to make a huge difference, because the buyers we're seeing, they want to move in the day they get it or the day that post-close occupancy agreement ends. And they don't want to have to necessarily do work unless they're completely scraping or doing a major remodel.
Yeah, so what that really means for you, you want to set yourself aside in this kind of market. With buyers, it's set those expectations, it's get them out there early, often, exactly when they see the product type they want or something they can work with. And if you're working with those sellers, I know that doesn't quite go with you guys as lenders, but this really does tie into the entire market. Is as a seller's agent or as a lender waiting for somebody to be able to sell to qualify, they really need to button that home up and make it perfect, and they are going to get such top dollar that it's going to blow their mind.
So make sure when you're working through options and underwriting options, you can figure out what you can do on your appraisal gaps, how much extra they can put down, all of those scenarios, maybe from a 20 to a 10 or to a 5, just based on where those escalation clauses lead us. And then when we look at the numbers here, we have a great number right here. 77% decrease year over year from December last year to this year for active listings.
Not to mention that 77% less than the year before that.
Yes.
Right, like this is the trend. This is a bad trend, but it's a trend.
And if we look at our sub-markets here, Boulder County is leading the charge with 80 active listings. Look at Niwot, 0. Superior, 11. And even after all of the tragedies and the fire out there, it's going to be even less and even more competition with the extra families hitting the market looking for replacement homes that it can't wait the 3 years to rebuild.
All right, well, let's take a look at the next one. The next one is month supply of inventory. And what this really means is if nothing else comes on the market, how long will it take to sell everything we have? Well, if we don't put any more homes on the market, it takes about a week and a half to sell every single home on the market, which is not healthy for the market at all. That's how we got into this situation where we're talking 1 to 2% appreciation each month. Right?
Yes.
I mean, we're talking 20+% again in 2022, unless we have some incredibly extenuating circumstances, and that really just makes it so unaffordable to live here.
And that's even factor in, as we've seen, this year's been pretty tough on your rates. As a whole, we saw, rates have jumped quite a bit with that T-note jumping, and the inflation fears, really coming to the market, and the market's finally factoring that in with pricing. Even with that jumping up to a 4%, even 4.5% for some of these rates by the end of the year, we both still think this is going to be an extremely competitive market, even with the rates increasing, because it's still relatively cheap money.
It's super cheap money. I mean, when you look at the history of this, you guys know, 18%, 20% at times, right? And even if you look at like the national average since we started recording this data, we're talking over 6% interest rates. So keep in perspective that we're probably not going to hit 5% anytime soon, realistically, for a very long time, probably. Fed hikes everything, right? We might hit 4% this year. 4% is dirt cheap, and it's less than inflation is going to be this entire year. So it's going to be cheaper to borrow money than it is going to be to not borrow money, essentially.
Yeah, your money in your bank account's going to be losing more than it is to take out more money from y'all.
Exactly.
So thank you, lenders. We all love you.
That's a great side. So let's talk about the other side of the situation. Let's talk about the buyer demand, and this is shown by days on market.
Yeah, and as we can see, typically, as you can see on the graph here, we have a little bit of a dip, but normally it's not too drastic throughout the year. We saw that huge dip in the peak buying season in the early spring to late spring to early summer, and then look where we're at. We're barely above that on days on market. That's 22 and a half days. That's less than your traditional contract of 30 days with your financing. So we're seeing a large mix of cash and refis afterwards right now. And if you have that happen, let us know and you close through land title. We got some great deals for your folks if they're refining after they buy. So we got some options. We can talk about that in another piece, but let us know if that's happening, because we can save your client a lot of money and help you win that refinance through lower title fees.
Absolutely. The other part of this is you guys are all doing an incredible job of finding fast financing options, and you're really seeing that trend shift in the marketplace. That shows in the data, right? It shows the fact that in 2022, we are going to see this speed up even further. And in 2020, when we were looking at more traditional financing, we were looking at 30 days, right? I mean, 31, 32 days, and it was very high demand all year long. And then we get into 2021, and wow, the market responded, right? I mean, we're going to see that in 2022 even more extreme, and you're going to see buyers do even more crazy things to get homes under contract because, well, they have to.
And there's no other option.
There's no other option.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right, this is a
Price
great graph. Yeah, price point. This is something that breaks it all out. So I'll touch a little bit on this, and Anthony will finish us out. But if we're really looking at it, look at our sold by price range, and then look at what's available by price range. Luxury market is doing fantastic. We never see the luxury market ever in the last 2 years do this well. This is historic. Boulder's on the map for luxury properties. So your luxury buyers, they're going for it, and they're going almost full price on a lot of the numbers that we're seeing. And then as we look down to that, under $1.5 million, which in most worlds is still luxury, but for where we're
not
at,
in Boulder,
we're going to segment that separately as your meat and potatoes, homes that really, this is the meat and potatoes of our industry, which is ridiculous, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. That's part of Boulder County.
Yeah, so Anthony, what are we seeing in the meat and potatoes?
All right, so you look in the meat and potatoes, under $1.5 million in Boulder County. And obviously, it might be a little bit different by marketplace to marketplace, but what you can see here from Boulder County is that inventory is really struggling, right? We don't have enough homes coming on the market. There are more people that want to live in that price point than we have sales for, right? So you're seeing record price appreciations, but you're also seeing those inventory levels be every home that comes on the market is leaving the market that month or that weekend in many cases. And I mean, look at this. Take a look at 500,000 to 600,000. It's a great example. This is December. We have 31 homes on the market. It's the most of any price range across the entire county. And then you go and look at the number of sales, and it's over double that amount. So they're moving so rapidly. And you have 13 homes on the market on any other given price range, and it's just so extreme. And you have, double-digit percentage changes negatively in every single active unit range, 20, 30, 50, 70% in some cases, right, across all of these price points. And the other crazy part is you really look at the bottom end of the market, not just those meat and potatoes, but let's just call it, under 600,000. We are not even remotely meeting the sales needs for what we have out there in the marketplace. And that's due to not only are we not building the product type, but that product type is ratcheting up in price points so fast that those price points under 600,000 are evaporating.
And
Boulder County
oftentimes
doesn't have much left.
And oftentimes, a lot of times, you'd be, underwriting a new build that would be that entry-level home. That's not happening in Boulder County anymore. The new builds and the infill we're seeing typically is not entry-level. It's second home, higher price points, over 500, over 600, and that's for attached. And then that's for basic attached. And then a lot of the infill we're seeing in Boulder is high-end luxury, $1,000,000, $1,500,000, $1,750,000 for really beautiful townhouses and a great location. Yes. But it's still the attached market, and we're seeing these numbers just go through the roof. Also, I wanted to mention here is, as we look at this, like Anthony mentioned, on the one with 31, the 500 to 600, we're double that. The market is moving so fast, and that's where having your folks pre-underwritten, not just pre-qualified, but pre-underwritten, and how fast things are moving is huge. And we heard from a lot of agents. We recently, talked to a lot of top producing agents across Denver Metro and Boulder County. What did they say? Be fast, be early, and have you lenders as a key element to their team. Right. So this right now, with the refis drying up a little bit, with rates going up, and honestly, we all joke, who's left to refinance at this point? Get your folks ready. Do that little extra effort, because you'll really solidify your relationship with your realtors, which is essential now that refinances are drying up.
Yeah, get on the phone, be there early and often, and honestly, you might work a whole lot less on weekends, because if you do this right, you can probably get under contract in that first day or two. And you're seeing that a lot more, and that says it all right here in the month supply of inventory in those meat and potatoes price ranges under $1.5 million here. I mean, we're talking days on market, right? We're not talking month supply of inventory, it's days of inventory, which is absurd, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And when the average days on market are far less than a contract period, not only are they competing with price, but they're also competing with terms in so many cases, right? And the rent backs and everything else that are kind of going into the situation are going to be out of control this year. So there's really one more thing that we wanted to talk about with you, because there's so much data we could talk about.
There's something else I wanted to add. Give some love to your appraisers. I know you're not allowed to, but whoever's that neutral third party, whatever it takes, get those folks ready, because they're going to have a hell of a year with super short time frames. So get your appraisers lined up now.
Those rush appraisals are so key right now.
Yeah. So
and
be
honestly,
willing to figure out how that works with your buyers, because that's going to be huge when you're negotiating terms. Folks are going to be going, hey, we both have these crazy over asking offers, and fortunately you did a great job underwriting your clients. They can do it, they can afford it. Now it's going to come down to competition amongst the terms. How fast can they do it? What are the deadlines for appraisal, the loan objection?
Yeah.
So that's going to be really important, is those deadlines. And as sellers hold more and more of the bag, they're going to ask for tighter and tighter deadlines, which I know is hard on y'all. But these are the facts of the market, and this is what's going to happen. Is the more competitive you can be on your deadlines, the better chance your borrower has to go under contract, and that means money in your pocket, them getting a house, and everyone walks away happy.
All right, here we are, percentage sales price to list price. We are essentially at the lowest point of the year. This is December, and we're in January now as we stand here and talk to you. These are the months where things go for a deal. They go for a bargain, right? And this year, getting the house over asking price in a bidding war is the deal. You win. Ching, 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 right? 101.3% here in Boulder County for a detached house. The scariest part about this is we've never been in this situation before. What this means is those bidding wars, you thought they were bad last year in April and May. Oh my goodness. You are in for a ride. So they got to have a lot of cash, or they got to shop early, often, and for as long as it takes to get under contract. And they have to understand, you can go in over asking price and you're still going to appraise in most cases, right? The appraisers know what this market is like. They've been doing this for a year. We've been over 100% listed sale price for 11 straight months, right? This is absurd. And not only that, but we peaked at 108%, 107% in most markets for percentage listed sale price in that May timeframe. We're on that same trajectory. This is a very seasonal trend, right? People that can move when they want to move in the spring, the summer. They can uproot their family when they're not in school, when there's, it's easy, right? And then it sucks to move in the winter, right? We all know that. That's why you should buy a house in December. Well, we missed that boat in 2021. So get your clients on board. Help them understand just how important it is to be in this market,
and really work through those options of their loan options. People want to put 20% down, avoid the PMI and all that. The realistic situation is they may not have that cash when they're having to meet these appraisal gaps and overbid to what they're doing. Make sure you're talking through your folks and having those hard conversations now, so that you're not wasting your time long term knowing, hey, they're never going to qualify for this house. Let me work with my realtors. Really, that's where I'm going to kind of focus on this year, is work with your realtors. Those are the sources of business for you. They're your best advocates. They're your number one source of business is your realtors. Focus on those relationships, and then make sure you communicate with your realtor. What can they actually buy? So you're not being put into a position where you won't be able to underwrite somebody and they're still trying to put in offers. Really focus on that this year. Because that's really going to be the bread and butter and what sets you apart from anybody else and the realtors who aren't watching these videos.
Part two of this is there's one kind of moment of opportunity, and this may seem ridiculous, but the opportunity is going from detached to attached. And if people can really do that, even though the inventory level is still astronomically low and they're still going way over asking price, those price points in many cases are less competitive. And we saw this in the year, right? We saw the fact that you might be at 102, 103% listed sale price instead of 108, 120% listed sale price, like we saw in some of the detached market. So get people to think about, well, you can have a yard in an attached property. You can have 4,000 square feet in an attached property, right? What are you really looking for? Like, what's actually important, and why wouldn't you look at a townhouse when a townhouse could be $900,000 in Superior? Right, like that product did not all burn down, unfortunately.
Thank gosh. No, seriously, I like that product.
And that product is beautiful. I mean, they're amazing. Tucker and I had looked at a lot of property when it was a year and a half ago, and people said, why isn't this product type moving? That is not the case now. They are directly competing with those single family homes. And some realtors are not showing those homes to their clients. So having those real conversations about, how does that HOA affect how you qualify and all of those things is very important right now, because they may not think that they're going into an attached property, and the next thing you know, they see a townhouse they love, they can't live without, and there they go and they want to make an offer. So this information is super, super valuable and important, and you can see they're basically at the same percentage listed sale price from an average perspective, but that price bracket difference is dramatic.
Yep, and just remember your HOA charges are going to be going up as always every year, but we're seeing a bigger jump because of taxes, property taxes for those HOAs, and then also for insurance, we're going to see a big jump as well. So kind of start thinking about that in the back of your head of what other costs for those borrowers with the increasing rates are going to be really tight margins. Make sure you kind of put that factor into the back of your mind of what those HOA fees will be, where the property taxes will be, because they are going up. Even though it's not an assessment year, they're still jumping. We feel the assessment this year, even though it was done last year, because we pay our taxes in arrears.
Absolutely. The last thing that we wanted to point out to you, don't forget, as your clients are getting insured this year, insurance costs will be going up in Boulder County, right? This happens every time we get declared a disaster zone, and this is one of the worst that we've literally ever seen in the country. So expect the insurance companies to want to make their money back. This is just a reality. It's like when a hailstorm comes through and it causes a ton of damage. That may be to more houses, and it may be a similar bill to what they're getting right now, and they're going to recoup those costs. So make sure you're prepping your buyers for those kind of factors, right? There's a lot of stuff going into 22. This is a very complicated year. Obviously, we're here to help you navigate that situation, or at least even make those connections to where you can get ahead of this, right? Because here we are at the beginning of the year, and it is already a very tough start.
It is. It is a very tough start, but like Anthony said, we're here to help you out. We're here to get your backs and make sure you guys are able to get folks under contract and get your deals won. So with that said,
that being said,
both of us, we wish you a happy 2022. All the best, and we can't wait to work with you this year.
Have a great one. We'll see you next time.